The New York Rangers have a clear need to add a top six caliber right winger at this year's NHL trade deadline, and there have been a lot of names kind of floated around there, obviously, like Tarasenko at times, Trenur, you've heard Eberle. There's a ton of different names that you can hear, obviously, out there that the Rangers could potentially be trading for, but in this video, we're going to take a look at one in particular from the San Jose Sharks, Anthony Duclair, the former New York Ranger who was drafted by the team back in the third round, back in the 2013 NHL draft, over 10 years ago, very long time ago, but he has actually been playing, pretty decent this year, although on a pretty terrible San Jose Sharks team. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with me on that. He's playing on a bad team there, putting up some solid numbers, and definitely will be traded, I'd imagine. I mean, he's a rental. He is, 28 years old, turning 29 this summer. It makes a lot of sense being a rental that he's going to be moved from the Sharks, and the Rangers are definitely a team who need a top six caliber right winger. And although Anthony Duclair may not be the best option available for the Rangers at this year's NHL trade deadline, he still is a decent option. I mean, he's still available. He's going to be on the cheaper end of things compared to other guys, like obviously Vetrano, for example. I mean, he's going to go for way more than obviously a guy like Anthony Duclair would. So there's a bit of a price difference there for sure. So maybe you want to go for the cheaper end of things here for a winger. And then you can also look to add in potentially a D-man and a center as well. That's a possibility there. So obviously we'll see what happens, but I do think that Anthony Duclair, if they want to go for a bit of a cheaper option at the right wing spot, adding in a guy like Duclair here definitely wouldn't be a bad option. And taking a look here at what he's done so far this season offensively, like I said, he's not having an amazing season, but he is on a pretty terrible San Jose Sharks team. So far this season, he does have 56 games played, though, 16 goals, 11 assists, 27 points. He's a -12, but he does have 5 power play goals and 5 power play assists. So 10 of his 27 total points have come in the power play, which may not be the best ratio, but he has had a lot of years in the past when he hasn't had a lot of power play time at all, and he has produced at a very good level. So I think that's something that, obviously good to take a look at there. I mean, take it, for example, back in 2019, 2020, when he was with the Ottawa Senators there, having 66 games played, 40 points, and it was kind of a while ago, but he still only had, 5 power play goals that season and 3 power play assists. So 8 of his total 40 points came on the power play. That's not too bad there. You take a look back at 2020, 2021 with Florida there. He had 43 games played, 32 points, and he did have only 1 power play goal and 1 power play assist. So he has had a lot of seasons in the past when he has been more of a kind of 5-on-5 producer. So I definitely think leaving a team like the Sharks there, who were obviously just not great, I think adding in him on that top line there alongside Kreider and Zibanejad, who they may not be the best kind of 5-on-5 scorers, but I think adding in a guy like Duclair alongside them could kind of provide a bit more offense there at 5-on-5 for that line. Next up here, taking a look at what Anthony Duclair has done so far in his NHL career in the playoffs, because last year he actually had a very, very good playoff run with the Florida Panthers, going all the way to the Stanley Cup final, putting up some very good numbers as well. He had 20 games played with them, 4 goals, 7 assists for 11 points. So not too bad at all. It was over half a point per game, which is not bad. Had 1 power play goal, so did pretty good at 5-on-5 or even strength, putting the puck in the back of the net there, helping his team produce, which is definitely what you want to see. Because come playoff time, Anthony Duclair is not a guy who's going to get a ton of power play time. I mean, maybe gets a bit of PP2 time here and there, and if injuries happen, maybe he got up the PP1, but there's a good chance he's not going to get a whole lot of power play time in the playoffs. Maybe it's, like I said, PP2, but for the most part, he's not going to get a whole lot there. So having a guy like this who can produce at 5-on-5 in the playoffs and in the regular season, because he has shown that in both, I definitely think is a good sign here. And he's not a complete player. He's not like an elite defensive player, but he definitely is not too bad at all in his own zone. Taking a look here, though, at some more interesting stats. I mean, not the most physical guy. This season only has 35 hits. He's not going to, definitely not going to lay the body a ton, but he does have 28 block shots, which for a winger is not too bad at all. He does have 31 takeaways, 14 giveaways, which again, for a winger is pretty solid, and only 4 defensive zone giveaways. So he's not giving the puck up too much in his own zone, which is definitely good. And again, for a winger, 4 defensive zone giveaways is not too bad at all, especially playing on a pretty terrible San Jose Sharks team. I mean, no offense to them, but let's be honest here, they're pretty bad. And for what he's done, I think he actually has put up some decent numbers, especially with the takeaway giveaway. I mean, only 4 defensive giveaways is definitely something nice to see. And finally, we're going to take a look here at what Anthony Duclair could possibly get traded for, as well as take a look at his contract, which is a pretty manageable one as well. It is a $3 million cap hit for just this season remaining. It was originally a 3-year deal worth $9 million, so $3 million per over 3 years, but obviously it's the last year of that deal now. So he's a rental. He's going to be UFA this summer, and $3 million cap hit that'll probably be 50% retained. You're looking at about $1.5 million cap hit, which if it gets down to that, I mean, you have a lot of other space open to go out there and try and acquire, a solid kind of depth defensive defenseman, as well as go out there and get, a decent kind of third line center, maybe like an Alex Lindbergh as well. So there definitely are some possibilities here, especially if you go after a guy like Anthony Duclair. If he's 50% retained, it definitely opens up a lot more options for the Rangers to go out there and, like I said, acquire, multiple other needs. Because either way, I think the Rangers are probably going to walk out of here with a minimum of obviously, one probably forward, more likely one winger, and that's kind of the minimum. And then obviously you want as well, ideally you want to add in a center and kind of a defensive defenseman as well. So if you go after a guy like Duclair who does have a pretty cheap kind of cap, especially if it is retained, which I'd imagine it will be, then you're looking to have a decent amount of space open there to go out there and acquire multiple other pieces as well, which definitely could be kind of a bonus for this team. I think this team does have clearly more than one or two kind of needs, and having that kind of space open to go out there and acquire a center as well alongside a D-man definitely could help this team out a ton. And taking a look here at what a deal could possibly look like for Duclair and kind of judging it off what happened here in this Tarasenko trade, as Tarasenko did get moved from the Senators at 50% retained over to the Panthers for a 2024 fourth round pick, which can become a 2026 third if the Panthers do win the Cup, and a 2025 third round pick. So let's say the Panthers do not win the Cup, which there's a better chance they don't than do, obviously. It's going to be a third round pick and a fourth round pick for Tarasenko, who, like I said, is a better player than Duclair. So I think it's going to be fairly cheap. You're looking at possibly like a third round pick and an all right prospect, or, a third round pick. If the Rangers win the Cup, it becomes a second, like at most. Like, it's not going to be a whole lot. So I do think this definitely ends up, going in the Rangers' favor here if they do end up kind of going after Anthony Duclair or a cheaper guy, not one of the top tier kind of wingers. Then this definitely does kind of bode well for them, where they're not going to have to pay a whole lot. It's going to be a fairly cheap deal for someone like Duclair, who can be a pretty serviceable kind of top six winger, and definitely could be a decent fit alongside Kreider and Zibanejad. And he also has kind of started to heat up as of late as well, so that is quite nice also. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please smash the like button. Don't forget to comment down below your guys' thoughts on this video, and also don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for daily New York Rangers content.